Look, this is so embarrassing for Harry, who's resigned from the charity in protest, denies all these claims. I don't think he's really racist, really. Is he? No more racist than his own family that he accused.
Well, unfortunately, the pot has now met the kettle, and Harry is in a delicious twist of irony, basically facing the same allegations that he leveled against members of his own family. The interesting thing is this kind of drama seems to follow around follow the Sussex around like flies on rotting fruit. Dr. Sophie actually alleged many things against Harry, one of which was the fact that despite he not wanting to speak about the sore relationship he had with his family, particularly after Megxit back in 2020, she alleges that there was a steep fall in corporate and individual and family sponsors to the Sentebale charity that were directly linked with his exit from the royal family and all the sort of brouhaha that ensued afterwards. So for him to try and paint her as someone who's failing in her fundraising efforts, she alleges, is laughable because basically the board were told that it's not a subject they're willing to discuss, Prince Harry's impact on the sort of charity donations to the charity. Another interesting thing that she said was, he hadn't been to sub-Saharan Africa in over 5 years, even though he'd been allegedly running this charity for the last 20 years. And the only reason why he came to sub-Saharan Africa went to sub-Saharan Africa and went to Lesotho is because she asked him to. Sentebale employs over 550 employees, many of whom are on the ground in Lesotho and Botswana. And I doubt the prince can even name 10% of them. I think what he's realized is the drama isn't following him around because, British people can't get over the fact that he left the royal family. It's mainly to do with the Sussex, their style of governance, the idea of doing good, which they think is just kind of hopping from one fantasy or nice idea to another instead of actually getting down to the nitty gritty. I mean, you should watch the interviews that she's been doing. She really sort of leveled a lot of accusations against him that I don't think he can recover from.
It is hard, and I thought it was odd that one of the accusations against her, I mean, there's lots of talk about the finances, etc., but was how dare she move the headquarters from Britain to Africa, which happens to be where most of the work is done. I thought that was rather weird. But anyway, Esther, I am shocked at how young British bigots can be, at least according to your officials. Now, there's a toddler aged 3 or 4 who was kicked out of kindergarten for supposedly being transphobic, for abuse against sexual orientation and gender identity. Can you explain what on earth that's about?
Well, I mean, just to contextualize this, since about 2022, there have been almost 100 primary school students of between the ages of sort of 4 and 7 that have been excluded from school for apparently transphobic comments, which I'm sure is a record only Britain can break. And this child in question, I'm sure, said something along the lines of, "You can't be a girl, you have a willy," and that counts as transphobia, and they've now been excluded. So it's really, I mean, the definition of transphobia and who they're targeting is getting more impressive, but it just shows the lunacy of Britain and how ridiculous our institutions have become with regards to the sort of gender theory. A 3 or 4-year-old doesn't even know anything about sexuality, let alone to be bigoted enough to be a transphobe. And somehow we see it fit to exclude children from schools because of this made up idea that they themselves at their age can't even comprehend.
I think it's just absolutely amazing. Esther Krakue, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time.